Guys, what's up? My name's Zwordz, and today we're going to talk about Olympus. The new rank split's out, and we got a fresh new map to dig into and learn more about so we can make it a little easier on ourselves to get that thick RP. Olympus is the newest map to the Apex games, and with that can come a lack of inexperience or unsure situations for newer players. A lot of you have been asking for this video in my Twitch chat, YouTube comments, and even my Discord. So, the goal of this video is to talk about how Olympus plays in rank, what landing locations you're going to want to try to land first at, and what legends are strong on Olympus. But first, my friends, please give this video a like and subscribe for more quality Apex content. This channel focuses on helping players improve, promotes positivity, and supports your goals. Together, we're building a super chill and positive community. So if you want to be a part of that action, just get it over with and hit that subscribe button. Now on to the video. Those of you that watch this video to the end are going to be that much prepared for Olympus Ranked. First, we should talk about the state of play. Olympus for the most part is a pretty open map. A majority of the space on the map in between POIs doesn't have too much cover besides rocks, the occasional geometry, and variations of depth between high and low ground. It's pretty easy to find yourself exposed if you're not watching your vulnerabilities or moving quickly to another position. The map isn't surrounded by too many hard choke points, as most of them can be bypassed through legend abilities such as Octane's jump pad, Horizon's anti-gravity lift, or even Pathfinder's zipline. Not to mention, with tridents and the various jump towers around the map, you should be able to navigate around those tough choke points without too much difficulty. Just look around and there's likely another path you can take to reach your desired position. A lot of the time on Olympus, you're going to end up third-partying other teams at a POI or getting third-partied yourself. A majority of the time, you're going to see yourself fighting at a POI because they offer you and other teams the most cover. It's good and bad at the same time because the additional cover helps your odds in winning those fights most of the time, but it's kind of bad because other teams are likely to push you too. So what you're going to want to focus on when playing this map competitively is to have good rotations. Now, we throw this word rotations around all the time, but I understand some of you don't know what it means. To rotate in a battle royale means to move from one point to another with an objective in mind. Usually that objective is to rotate inwards to the circle where you can hold a good position, get a little more decent loot, or just avoid getting under fire. It's your job to figure out where the best optimal route is for your situation. If it's early game and you're looking pretty good on loot, maybe try rotating somewhere where you can pick a fight and get some early points. Or maybe you don't have good loot and should rotate somewhere low key where you can safely get a little more gear. And if you're ever unsure of where you should be, just rotate to the best position for your team in the zone where you think it's safe. So, where should you land? Well, that is the question, and it's exactly what you need to ask yourself every time you're in the dropship, because depending on where the dropship's coming from is going to determine your answer. Typically, the best spots to land are often a distance along the outer perimeter of Olympus. If you haven't already noticed, a majority of POIs with high tier loot are along this outer perimeter. You're going to want to try to land at some of these locations that are far off in the distance and safe to loot. Yes, you want to be safe when looting as soon as you land, because if you land with enemies and they get a gun before you, when you try to run away and find a weapon, you're going to have a fair amount of open space without too much cover to try and find a gun. We've all been in that situation and it sucks when it happens. So don't let it happen to you while you're trying to rank up. Take control of your drops and land somewhere safe. Let's talk about some places I like to land at and why. Keep in mind, I never land at these places hot. I only land at these locations if no other team's contesting me or if it's just one team. The first place I'm going to talk about is gardens. I like gardens because the buildings surrounding it offer a good amount of cover and a decent amount of loot. Sometimes there's a replicator here or even a survey beacon. Both of those things are really nice to have in the early game. With a replicator, if you're lacking meds or maybe you just need a little bit more of a boost to your shield, it has you covered. There have been plenty of situations where I had 0 batteries, and with the replicator I was able to have 2 and anything else I needed. If you're landing gardens, try to land on the upper platform on the high ground. Landing here gives you a good overview on the surrounding buildings below, so you can see where enemies are, and there's a good amount of loot in an indoor area by a zip line where there are a couple supply bins and it offers a good amount of cover in case anyone pushes you. There's pretty decent loot here, and depending on your game, you've got some pretty good options for rotations. There's Rift, Energy Depot, and Grow Towers really close by, not to mention you're by like 3 tridents. Docks is one of those other spots I like to land at. In my opinion, it's one of those pretty low-key spots. There is good loot spread all around this area. Try to land at the big building. There's 2 floors in there, and depending on where you are, you can choose to either loot the 2nd floor first or the 1st floor. If you ever run into trouble with docks, just know that there's a nice little getaway you can use right next to that respawn beacon. There's a circular kind of vent that leads into different tunnels around the area that can take you to different areas. Taking these tunnels could lead you to more loot or give you the option to rotate out of a bad situation. This area is pretty low key though. In my experience, I haven't seen many players land here. Watch out for carrier on your side. Players may surprise you here, just be wary of that spot. Fight Night's also close by if you're feeling a little risky, but be careful, that area can be pretty hot sometimes. And every time you enter the ring, the announcer lets everyone know that someone's there. Hydroponics has got to be one of my favorite spots too. This area is dummy thick in loot. It's literally all over the place. Not to mention all the cover surrounding you, just in case you get into a bad situation. Getting on these roofs are super easy, you don't even have to climb most of the time, you could basically just run up it. There's also a trident parked here if you need to use it as a last resort to escape a bad situation. The only thing I could really say is that when you're landing here, keep an eye at Elysium. Sometimes there's another team that likes to land there, and it's an easy third party from Hydroponics to Elysium because there's a zip line that actually connects the two. If you're really lucky, then there'll be a replicator at both locations. In that situation, you should be able to have a fair amount of shield batteries, and you might even be able to get a purple shield if you keep upgrading your armor. Orbital Cannon is probably the most underrated place out of all the locations I'm going to talk about. Even after uploading this video, I still don't think people are going to land there. This location barely gets any love, even though it's actually a really good spot to start at for landing in rank. I think this location actually can sometimes get a survey beacon, replicator, and a trident all at the same time. All three of those things can spawn within the same radius of each other, which is insane. They're really close by. There's a fair amount of loot here, and I very much doubt you'll get contested. The split just started, but a lot of the times I've been landing here so far, I've been getting positive RP. Rift too. Rift is also high-key underrated. I'm not sure why a lot of people land here. It looks like a pretty cool spot. There's a lot of loot surrounding the area, zip lines around, a crazy portal in the middle, and it's got some pretty good rotations. If you're ever landing here, make sure no one else is landing here. I would say out of all locations I talked about, this is that one place where fighting another team here can truly be 50-50. I don't know. I've just had a lot of bad experiences fighting other squads here in Rift. But for those games where I land here uncontested, I have a pretty good time. Power Grid is also another spot you're gonna love. Loot is distributed on two main sides of this POI. On the side with the survey beacon, you just might find a replicator and a survey beacon, which, again, amazing things. Remember, replicator gives you an early game head start along with the survey beacon. This area is nice because if a team wants to third party you, there's a good amount of choke points all around you, with only one open area to the southeast. Definitely going to want to take your time looting here. You're going to see two bridges along the left and right side of this open area with a zip line in between. Keep in mind there's an underpass between both sides. You know, there might be like a body shield hiding underneath there. Just check it out. You don't want to miss anything good. Get loot on both sides, and remember there's a trident on one side if you want to rotate quickly over to docks or to Rift. I think a lot of your games you're probably going to get positive RP from landing here. Now let's talk about places I don't think you should land. Probably number one on my list of places you should never land in ranked is Bonsai Plaza, because there's a good chance you might go bonsai. So Bonsai Plaza. This is that one area with two skyscrapers that have upper levels. There are two elevators in each skyscraper and lower levels down below. The reason why I don't like it here is because no matter where you land, you're at a disadvantage either way. Even if you land on the high ground and there's a team on the low ground, you don't know what legends are down there and you could be dropping into your death. Landing on the low ground doesn't help either, because even if you took the zipline up, they're just going to hear you coming before you're even close. But most of the time, you're probably going to get contested landing at Bonsai Plaza. In those situations where you get contested, you're usually off looking for a gun or some type of body shield just to survive a fight. Same thing with Oasis, even though I have a little more luck here. At Oasis, you're going to have the same high ground, low ground dilemma that you'd have at Bonsai Plaza. The only difference is that everything's a little closer together. There's usually really good loot in that bottom level, so you're going to see a lot of teams fighting here a lot of the time. But even if you cleaned up a team, chances are you cleaned up that team on the low level, and you might get pushed from another team that has the high ground advantage. Oasis is a pretty common area to get third partied at. This is because Estates is a really popular spot that people land at, so people usually rotate out through there and head over to Oasis. And the third on this list for me is going to be Grow Towers. At Grow Towers, you can get pushed pretty much from anywhere. Not only are you right smack in the middle between Solar Ray and Gardens, but outside of these towers is a lot of open space where you can get shot down at. If you get knocked outside of one of these towers, there is no way back up. You are just stuck without cover. So, what are the best legends to use? Well, there's actually a fair amount of legends that work really well on this map, but number one on that list is going to be Horizon. At a majority of POIs in this map, Horizon is going to be a really good ally on your team to get you to the high ground. This is going to help you win a lot of fights in your ranked games. That high ground is going to help you take control of the situation, and with the open space available to Horizon, her ultimate is going to be especially strong. It doesn't even need to be thrown in the most 5-head spot. In open spaces on Olympus, there is a lack of cover, so if you notice there's an enemy that is hiding behind that one piece of rock, then throwing your ultimate nearby them is going to mess them up a lot and expose them, which is easy kills. Which is why Gibby is also going to be another really good legend for Olympus. Since there's a lot of open space, that dome shield's going to be really good. Not to mention with that arm shield, Gibby's going to have a good time taking down opponents at range. Having a Gibby on your team is going to make you feel a little more safe during those transitions between POIs out in open spaces. His ultimate's super strong and can zone teams out of position. Speaking of position, OCTANE is a really good legend to get around on Olympus. With all that open space comes really good use for their jump pad. Having OCTANE on your team is going to have you prep for third parties and getting away from third parties. The speed that he gets from his stim is going to make him very scary in those close range engagements. And of course, I cannot forget about Bloodhound. It doesn't matter what map you're on, Bloodhound's always going to be pretty viable. The scan is really good for getting points. Definitely knowing where players have been is a very useful tool. The scan adds a lot of pressure to teams and stresses them to make a decision. If you haven't already, check out my Bloodhound rank guide. It helped a lot of people out. Even Bloodhound mains really liked it. But alas, my friends, I know Olympus can be a little rough sometimes, but be patient with it. The more you play it, the more you will understand it. Stop by the Twitch and say what's up. I'm spreading the positivity and chill vibes over there, so you should hang out. I talk to y'all and we have a good time. Here's the featured comment to today's video. If you want your comment featured on my video, leave a positive and supportive comment to someone below. We just want to spread that positivity, make Apex a chill place. If you want to get more involved with the Apex community, join my Discord to share your art, memes, or just find a good teammate. But without further ado, I hope this video finds you well. Take it easy and peace out.